having summer strokes has taught me anything, it's that you have to be living in the moment and be happy for what you have and not regretting what you don't.
Hey guys, welcome back to another interview here on Tone In Entertainment. Today we're at Deep South Wrestling at the New Realm Brewery in Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm joined by McKenzie Marshall. How you doing, McKenzie?
Oh, I am frozen but fabulous.
It's pretty chilly out here, right?
It is, and I'm actually surprised that you're doing okay in that skimpy little coat.
Oh, no. I'm a tough guy. This is as tough as I get, though.
Clearly, I'm not, because I've got this on, so I might be a little bit weaker than you.
No. You're tougher because you're the one that goes back and gets those hard-hitting interviews after these matches, after these guys and girls have just, essentially beat the crap out of one another.
That is basically my job, yes, that and looking good.
Okay, so two very important things,
yeah.
But also you're kind of like a jack of all trades as well, too.
Yeah, and managing as well.
Managing, yes.
I kind of feel that in this business, the more that you can do, the more valuable that you are, and the more that you get to involve yourself in any aspect of it, the more that you can learn all of the business, and the more valuable a player you are.
Okay, now I did see something interesting. I think it was on your Instagram that talked about, the state of managers and 2024 is kind of like a dead thing, essentially. But you're here to prove that maybe that it's not.
Well, I do feel that, at least within the independent scene, you don't see managers anymore. I mean, in your experience?
I can name two off the top of my head, right?
Right, exactly. And I feel that had happened because with the national promotions, they really started phasing out managers really more for financial reasons. And then that ended up trickling down to the independent scene. And we just really haven't seen a resurgence of them. But if you look back at some of the best managers, Bobby the Brain Heenan, yeah, of course, we can't forget good old Horny, right?
Oh, Jim Cornette, right?
I know he's a very visceral, decisive figure in this business, but I've got love for him. These people enhanced the business and they enhanced the story, and I don't see why that still can't be happening today.
I absolutely agree, because I grew up watching the territories, the 80s and the 90s wrestling, and managers were huge at that time. You had the factions, you had the manager, you had the Mr. Fuji's and the Bobby the Brain Heenan, whoever else, and I like the fact that, someone out here is trying to bring that back, right?
Well, I'm trying. It is, when you start training as a wrestler, you can go to different schools and you can become familiar with the business that way. There really are no pathways for managers. There's not a lot of opportunities out there for doing anything but wrestling. So it's kind of a work in progress of figuring out how to make that happen.
Okay, so how did you get wrapped up in the crazy world of professional wrestling to begin with?
Well, I've been obsessed with wrestling since I was 6 years old and absolutely been in love with it. And as an adult, I became really obsessed with the history of American professional wrestling and found that the history itself is crazier than the actual wrestling. And it wasn't until my later adulthood, I hopefully won't be revealing how old I am.
We're not going to ask.
Yeah,
no.
Exactly. No, you wouldn't ask a lady, right?
Never. I wouldn't ask a guy either. But
Well, I actually found that it might be possible for me to do this. I had never really considered it because I was born with an ultra-rare genetic disorder that limited me in terms of health issues. And so when I was growing up, I didn't think wrestling was really a possibility for me. And it wasn't until I got to the independent scene that I even had the thought that I could do this.
Okay, so beating the odds at all costs.
Yeah, well, by the time I was 30, I had 7 strokes.
Oh my God, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's, okay. Wow, okay. That. I didn't know that.
No,
Definitely.
people don't.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So how do you overcome, something like that to make sure that everything is safe with what you're doing now?
Oh, well, I mean, I'm making a terrible, risky decision doing this, but I'm perfectly fine with it. I think it's the same mentality you take with every day. You just appreciate what you have and move forward with the hope that you'll be able to make the life that you want.
I like that. Have no boundaries, right?
Yeah, look, if having summer strokes has taught me anything, it's that you have to be living in the moment and be happy for what you have and not regretting what you don't.
Okay, absolutely love that. And speaking of things I absolutely love, I've only been a Georgia native here for 6 weeks now. And I've discovered
Welcome.
Well, thank you. I'm loving it up here.
I'm at my 2.5-year mark, so.
Okay,
yeah.
okay. So we're newbies up here then, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay, so in those short time, I've realized there's a lot of professional wrestling here in Georgia.
Georgia is a hotbed for wrestling. We are basically an embarrassment of riches here, truly. It is an absolute pleasure, and I completely lucked out. I moved here for my scientific career, not for a wrestling career, but stumbled into it and realized that I had lucked out.
Okay, can we talk about the scientific career? Because now I'm very intrigued now.
We can, yeah.
Okay.
So I am a graduate student at GSU, and I work in a lab that studies neuroocular virology. So we study the herpes families of viruses, and yes, that herpes.
Oh, right. The one that nobody wants or
Yeah,
has
exactly.
ever had.
But everybody knows about.
Yeah.
And so we study how that virus actually interacts with the body's own immune system to cause damage within the central nervous system in the eye and the brain.
Is there something that you've discovered in your research that kind of maybe shocked you, that maybe you didn't know about that virus?
Yes, but it's going to sound really scientific and rather dorky.
Okay.
Okay, so we have found that cell death pathways are actually involved within the pathology of the central nervous system, and that the body itself is causing the damage, not the virus.
Okay, dropping knowledge here on Tone in Entertainment. I'm not sure exactly what she means.
But it sounded good,
It
right?
sounded
Yeah?
good, and I'm going to take your word for it now.
I think you have to.
I
now.
do, yes, definitely. Now, we are here at Deep South Wrestling at the New Real Brewery on the Atlanta Beltline. So, going back to my previous statement about a lot of wrestling in Georgia, what separates Deep South Wrestling apart from everybody else?
The legacy. I mean, this is an organization that started in 1968, founded by the Masked Assassin, and his son is now running the company, right? Nick Patrick. I think what differs us is that we have, and I don't want to say traditional because that's a strange word to use, but we have a history unlike anybody else, and we are trying to maintain that history and maintain that legacy. We got a lot of old school wrestling going on, and I think it's unlike anybody else.
Yeah, it's definitely a nice hybrid. Plus, it's free here at the New Realm Brewery.
It is, and that's actually a beautiful part of it. I know we get a lot of, I don't want to say the word because I'm not supposed to cuss, right?
You can, it's YouTube.
Yeah, we get a lot of shit for having free shows. But I think it's a beautiful part of the mission here. Eric Adams, one of the promoters of the organization, he wants the shows to be free because he feels that wrestling should be accessible to everybody because wrestling saved his life, and he wants to make sure that other children have that opportunity as well.
Okay, it's awesome. So you get free wrestling, but the food and the drinks are free, but they're damn good though.
You got to talk to New Realm about that.
Yeah, I can testify that the food is good here, and I'm about to go get some food and drinks
It
too.
is definitely
Yeah,
good, but I cannot attest that it's free.
Oh, no, it's not free. No. You have to pay for the food. Yeah, the wrestling's free, but not the food.
Exactly.
That's for sure, yeah.
The food is good.
But it's worth every penny, though. That's for sure. That's for sure. Well, I know the world of wrestling is a crazy world, right? And again, I like to end my interviews with the term bizarro. Because it can be weird. So whether it was a fan interaction, whether it was something you involved or something maybe you saw, is there a particular bizarro moment that stands out to you?
I almost think every day that I'm involved in this business, I wonder what the hell I'm doing in it and how I am possibly here. It just seems so absolutely unreal. And I don't know if it would be bizarro, but I would say maybe today we were filming our pilot for Peachtree TV, and I was standing with Nick Patrick and Scott Hudson, and I was having a conversation with them. And it just occurred to me that what the hell am I doing in this conversation? I should not be here among these two legends having a conversation with them treating me as if I'm a peer or an equal. So I know that doesn't sound too crazy, but it definitely blew my mind.
It's definitely more of a feel-good, I'm on the right track moment, more than bizarro, I think, right?
Almost an out-of-body experience, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could go with that. Well, I know the show is about to start, so is there anything else we should touch on before we let you get ready?
Make sure to come to our next show, January 19th.
There we go. Where can people follow you at?
M Squared Wrestling on Instagram and Facebook.
Well, McKenzie, thank you so much for your
Pleasure.
time. Absolutely. And guys, if you like interviews like this with McKenzie Marshall here at Deep South Wrestling on the Atlanta Beltline, it's free too.
It is.
By the way, in case we didn't mention that.
Totally
Once
free.
or twice. Free show. Good food. Guys, make sure you come out to the next show, January 19th, you said, right?
Wear a coat.
There you go. Wear a coat. Definitely. It's going to be cold. And before you do that, hit that red subscribe button so you can stay tuned in here to Tone in Entertainment for future videos. Subscribe to the channel. Do it. Go now. Do it now.